Carly from Uproots Wellness, 9 months pregnant, getting ready for my postpartum period by stocking my fridge and freezer full of nutritious, delicious, nurturing, and supportive food. So I actually can't think of anything that flies out of our freezer faster when I do food prep than meatballs. Now, whether you're vegetarian or omnivorous, meatballs I feel like are just such a big comfort food, and they're super versatile, and I think they're just really fun to eat. But one thing that I always see people looking for, and I think I was looking for it for a really long time, was super soft and kind of melt in your mouth. And people lean on adding, pork fat or just fattier cuts of ground meat or breadcrumbs, and then having to bind them with eggs and whatnot so they stick together, trying to get that soft kind of melt in your mouth texture to the meatballs. And when vegetarians are trying to make meatballs, I find that it's the opposite. They're trying to get like the chewy kind of stick together texture, that kind of spring back bounciness that you get from traditional animal proteins. So in this recipe, I'm gonna address both of those things and make ground beef meatballs that are soft and tender and really delicious, but also super good for you. And I'm also going to tell you how to make vegetarian variety of meatballs that are springy and chewy and full of nutrients and just absolutely delicious and to die for as well. So I've got some onion chopped up here, not really chopped up, just kind of like quartered. I've got a bunch of garlic, and my secret ingredient is mushrooms. Now, whether you are a meat eater or a vegetarian or something in between, one of the best ways to get really good nutrition is to just include half of your diet being vegetables and fruits. So I keep kind of like throwing this home because it's one of the only takeaways that you can really kind of run with in all of the nutrition science. So I always try to include half veggies, but I do it in a way that makes it so that it actually enhances the flavors, it enhances the dish, it actually makes it more enjoyable. And the way that I incorporate vegetables is super kid friendly. It's even people who don't like vegetables friendly. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to use these vegetables to make our ground beef meatballs super tender, super tasty, really juicy, and just melt in your mouth, delicious, the best meatballs you've ever had. And if you're going to make the vegetarian variety, you're going to start with my veggie burger base that I made in a different recipe in a different video that I'll link below. And you're going to just do everything else except for sub out the ground beef with the chewy, meaty, textured veggie burger recipe that I made in that video. So without further ado, we are going to take these onions and garlic and pop them straight into our food processor. And you do need a food processor for this recipe, but you can get them really cheap, and I highly recommend getting one because you can do stuff like this. So I'm going to process this really quite fine, almost into a paste, and then I'm just going to add it to a big bowl. I'm using this because it's the biggest bowl I have because we're making tons of food prep, and all of our big bowls are being used right now. So this is actually my what do you call it?
Pressure pot.
My pressure cooker pot. Next step, I'm going to start processing the mushrooms. Okay, so that's about the size of mushrooms that you want. You want them to be just a little bit chunkier than your onion. And I'm just gonna do this in batches. It's gonna take a few batches to go. Okay, so I've got my mushrooms and onions and garlic all minced up in the food processor, and now I'm going to add my ground beef, or if you are making vegetarian meatballs, you're gonna add your textured protein and red lentil blend that I mentioned in my chewy veggie burger recipe link below. And we're gonna start making some balls. So my ratio of ground beef to veggies is going to be about 1 to 2. So 2 parts veggies, 1 part ground beef, or maybe 2/3 veggies, 1/3 ground beef. If you're making a vegetarian variety of this, I would probably go half and half, maybe even a little bit more on the protein side. But we're just gonna season this up with some nice sea salt and some cayenne. Again, in all of these recipes that I'm sharing for my postpartum period, you don't need really complicated, or I mean, any kind of like complexity in your seasoning, because there's so much flavor in these mushrooms and the onions and the garlic, and there's so many of these vegetables in the actual dish that these are going to taste phenomenal no matter who you are. And we're just gonna go grandma style and start digging in. This recipe also makes incredible meatloaf. You could put it on skewers, like kind of kofta style, but I found that in my freezer at least, meatballs are what gets taken out and made all the time. So we're just going to incorporate all of these vegetables into this beef, or into, you know, our veggie beef mixture. And what these veggies are going to do is absorb. They're going to introduce all kinds of juices. They're going to keep our meat, whether it's the ground beef or our veggie meat, moist. They're going to impart all kinds of flavors. There's all kinds of nutrients. And mushrooms specifically, I love, my mouth is watering just thinking about it. Mushrooms specifically with this recipe, they just add this texture and this earthy flavor that just makes this, they're the best meatballs or meatloaf around, in my opinion. And Douglas, would you agree?
Oh, I love it.
Okay, so this is what our mix looks like, and you can see even right now like how just like moist and kind of fall aparty that is. And if you're using my vegetarian recipe for the veggie burgers, they'll stick together really well. And if you're using ground beef, you can already see how tender this is going to be. So we are going to make balls and put them on a lined sheet and freeze them, so that afterwards we can actually just put them into bags and have them frozen ready to cook in the air fryer for whenever we want. And you can make as much of this as you want. So we're gonna make these balls so that we can stick in the freezer, and then take them off the tray and put them into bags. But I'm also going to make a few of them right now in our air fryer to show you exactly how delicious and moist and juicy and wonderful these turn out. Okay, so here they are, and I just want you to see just how juicy and tender they turned out to be. And I think I need a taste tester. Douglas? There it is. Try it out, baby. How is it?
Wow. I can't even tell there's really mushroom in there.
No? I just think it tastes like amazing. Like, it doesn't really taste like mushroom specifically. It just tastes like, yeah. It tastes like So there you go, guys. The best meatballs you've ever had, and probably the healthiest too, hey?